What if the power balance in the Middle East was about to shift? What if the traditional role of the United States as the primary mediator was gradually being eclipsed by a new player? This is the story of China's rising influence in the Middle East, and how the recent Israel-Hamas war could challenge these ambitions. Rewind to the beginning of the year. China, a key economic partner of many Middle Eastern countries and a significant buyer of both Saudi and Iranian oil, brokered a peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The 7-year diplomatic rift between the two nations was healed, and it seemed as though Beijing had both the economic leverage and goodwill to mediate future conflicts. The stage was set for China to position itself as an alternative to the United States, a country whose historical baggage and close ties to Israel could potentially hinder its role as peacemaker. By contrast, China's policy of non-interference with its diplomatic partners seemed to be a breath of fresh air. Fast forward to less than 6 months later. The October 7th Hamas attacks on southern Israel and the subsequent war on Gaza act as a roadblock to Beijing's ambitions. Analysts question whether China's dreams of emerging as a key mediator in the Middle East are now under threat. China's interests lie on both sides of the conflict. It has always advocated for a two-state solution. In the past, it even armed the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Today, however, Beijing is also Israel's second-largest trading partner. On the international stage, China joined 119 other nations to vote in support of a non-binding United Nations General Assembly resolution, calling for a humanitarian truce. Yet Beijing has largely remained on the sidelines of the conflict, avoiding the prominent role it played in the Saudi-Iran détente. Since the war began, China has maintained a neutral stance, consistently calling for a peaceful resolution. The day after Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, China's foreign ministry called for a de-escalation in hostilities, a protection of civilians, and an end to further deterioration of the situation. Critics have labeled China's position as either too bland or its response too late, as Beijing took a day to issue a formal statement. However, according to Benjamin Ho Tzi Ern, an assistant professor at the Singapore-based S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies China program, this was a pragmatic choice. Beijing wanted to observe how other countries would respond first, aiming to maintain the moral high ground of taking a more neutral approach. To summarize, China's growing influence in the Middle East, initially marked by its successful mediation between Iran and Saudi Arabia, has been challenged by the recent Israel-Hamas war. Despite its interests on both sides of the conflict and its past advocacy for a two-state solution, China has remained for the most part on the sidelines. Whether this means a retreat from its ambitions or a strategic pause, only time will tell.